morning, it's Hazel Jarvis, it's Art Online, and once again I have been foraging for mushrooms. So here I have the mushrooms from this morning's forage in the garden, and I have a couple of other items from the refrigerator. I'm going to use a landscape format sketchbook just to change things up, but you can use any sketchbook that you like, or you can do this on a sheet of paper. I have my rough sketch that we looked at already. And I'm going to start with just a light pencil sketch in my sketchbook. And I especially like including the butter and the wrapper because you can just see a little bit of the writing on the wrapper. And adding just a couple of basil leaves for a nice crisp green. So I now have my pencil drawing spread across 2 pages, and I have space for some text. As before, I'm going to drop a drop of clean water onto some of the colours that I know that I'm going to be using. Since this is my sketchbook and it's kind of a work in progress, I'm going to test my colours actually on the page itself. So there's a little bit of my burnt sienna for the cap of this lovely mushroom. We start at one side going dark. We take a little bit of clean water so that it gets lighter. It just gives it a nice rounded feeling. And then we go back to the brown, to the burnt sienna, and go darker. And if you get too hard a line, you can just take some clean water and just smooth it back and forth. Like so. I'm going to take some artistic license and make this mushroom much yellower. So colour in on one side, and then clean water, and then more colour. Clean water, and then more colour. For this mushroom, we're going to do a classic sort of smoky grey-brown, periwinkle and burnt sienna. So that's 61 and 46. Here I'm putting the colour in the middle. Then I'm going to switch to a smaller brush and go a little darker by adding some Van Dyke Brown and put it behind the stem. Just going to correct that stem just a little bit and have it come down like so. We'll take our pink, number 36, and we'll do our radish. So we put some lovely thick juicy colour on, just like that. We rinse the brush, we get clean water, and we pull that pink out. So we've got this lovely soft bleed, dark to light. Get a little bit more clean water and finish that radish up. And then we can put a tail. For the butter, I'm going to put a little bit of this bleed-proof white in with my yellow. I'm going to paint this side away from the light. Oops, that's looking a little green. But I think it'll be okay. The stem of this guy. So we put in our paint. We'll use a very, very dilute lavender for the stem here. I'm going to make the underside of this particular one slightly opaque, so I'm going to put a little bit of white in with my brown and my yellow ochre. We'll go back to our lavender or our periwinkle grey for the butter paper just to get some shadows on it. I'm going to lighten my lines on my radishes just a little bit so that it doesn't show through the green too much. We'll start with a nice bright green, so that's number 40 yellow mixed with a little 51. And we'll just put in our stems. We'll go a tiny bit darker for the leaves, so we'll mix in just a little bit of our French ultramarine into that green. And then we'll press down with the side of the brush to get those nice wavy leaves. A little bit on the stem. And then nice big leaf. Again, one more leaf down here, I think. And a few more just up top. Pressing down with the side of the brush. I've got one more leaf that's looking a bit sad and tired, so I'm going to mix a tiny bit of my yellow 43, my cadmium yellow in, just to warm that green up. Basil to be a little bit different from my radish, so a little more blue-green. I also want a contrast between the top of my basil leaf, which is dark, and the back side, which is paler. So I'm just testing on a paper towel to make sure it's pale enough for the back side. I go a little bit darker. I test my colour on my paper towel. I can make a note of it if I like it in my sketchbook. And we're going to do the front side of the basil leaves. My garlic has a slightly pinky tinge to it. So we now have a nice pass, a nice first layer on everything. Time for some detail. We'll go a little bit darker on this one's cap. So burnt sienna with the Van Dyke brown. Put in on both sides. Clean water going over it. A little bit of shadow on the stem. And again down here. We'll put a little bit of yellow, cad yellow, on this side of the butter just to warm it up very slightly. With my sketchbook, I like to leave things fairly understated, so I don't want to put too much more colour on. I'm going to go back to my pencil and we'll add some pencil detail. So with a nice sharp pencil, I'm going to put in just a little pattern to suggest the pores on the underside. I use the pencil to draw the gills, and remember it's the spokes of a bicycle wheel with everything radiating from this center. I define my garlic just a little bit more. And a little bit of that sort of papery skin too, that's very typical of a clove of garlic. And I'm going to add just a little bit more leaf over here to my radish, pressing down with the side of the brush. the butter provides a very nice decorative touch. If you come to the end of your page and you have a space, as I do here, you can rummage in your fridge and hope that there are a couple of carrots or a tomato at the bottom of it, or you can add some text. It's totally up to you, but I can't wait to see what you do. Here we have a beautiful double page in your sketchbook, and you can take this idea and expand it any way you wish. I can't wait to see what you do.